Hi, I'm Dale Kleber. I live in Hinsdale, Illinois on Walnut Street, and I'm a backyard beekeeper. I'm making this video today to shatter a commonly held belief that bees are somehow aggressive. This belief is based on fear and irrational emotion, and not on evidence, not on fact, not on science. As I mentioned, I've been keeping bees in my backyard in Hinsdale for about 6 years. Never been a problem before. In fact, many of the neighbors are quite supportive. They like the fact that their gardens get pollinated, their flowers get pollinated. They have better yields and more flowers and more fruits and vegetables. Bees actually are directly responsible for 1/3 of the food that mankind eats. Without bees, we wouldn't have these foods. They wouldn't be the pollination that would allow them to propagate and reproduce and yield fruits and vegetables and other plants. So bees are a very critical part of our ecosystem. I never had a problem until a couple months ago when the house next door sold and the new neighbors bought it and immediately began complaining about the bees even before they had moved in. The complaints are based on this commonly held myth that bees are somehow aggressive and will attack. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's absolute nonsense, which I'm going to show you today. And I currently have 3 active hives. The other stacks are just empty boxes. As you can see, the bees are fairly active today. It's in the mid-70s and overcast a bit, but they're flying and they're out collecting pollen and nectar and bringing it back to their hives. I'm sitting right next to the entrance of the middle beehive. As you can see, it's active and there are many bees buzzing around. My head is actually resting against the hive and my cheek is less than 12 inches away from the entrance of the hive. Honeybees are docile. They do not want to sting you. If they sting you, they die, so that's not their first instinct. They will sting you if they're threatened, if they're swatted at, if they're crushed, or if their hive is considered under threat. Otherwise, they're quite docile. They're bred for gentleness. The queens that are selected are only selected from the most docile colonies, and it's just not the case that bees are aggressive and want to attack people. That is purely ridiculous. And it's a fear, it's a rational and it's emotional fear, but our laws, our ordinances in Hinsdale should encourage, not outlaw, backyard beekeeping. They should be based on science and fact, not on a new person who just moved in, irrational fears of bees. And I'm also going to show you, I'm going to put my hand right up against the entrance and the bees won't attack it, even though it's coming right close to the entrance and the guard bees are there looking. So I put my hand very slowly, very gently up there, and you can see there are no bees. They're giving me any bother. One just rolled out and touched my hand. Several of them have bumped into it landing, but they are not attacking my hand at all. So actually we should be protecting, not prohibiting the bees. Bees are under a tremendous amount of threats from the 3 P's: people, pesticides, and parasites. People, we have destroyed much of the natural bee habitat. We use monocultural agriculture, which deprives bees of a lot of pollination opportunities that they used to have back several decades ago before modern agricultural techniques came on. We've plowed under a lot of native wildflowers. And so the bees are fighting an uphill battle with respect to their habitat. Secondly, pesticides. We have allowed many pesticides which science has shown are damaging to the bees. In fact, neonicotinoids is a pesticide that's currently allowed in the U.S., but has been banned by Europe because it has been shown to be very harmful to bees and cause something that's called colony collapse disorder. There are many causes for that, but neonics are one of the leading suspects for the causes. And lastly, bees are under threat by pests and parasites. There is a parasite, it's a mite called the Varroa mite destructor, which was came over from overseas into the U.S. in the early 80s, and it's absolutely decimated a lot of honeybee hives. If you have beehives, you probably have mites in them, and you have to treat for the mites. Just like you might put a flea and tick collar on your dog, you can do the same thing with bees. And there are other integrated pest management techniques which help to combat the Varroa mite. So bees are very much under challenge, and frankly, the suburbs, the urban areas, and rural areas ought to be doing everything we can to encourage and protect bees. They are critical to our ecosystem in so many ways. So this notion that somehow you're going to be attacked by bees is just absolutely ridiculous, and I wanted to demonstrate that. Let's make sure that we make decisions based on fact and evidence and science, not somebody's emotion. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I am happy to have you visit my apiary and answer your questions. Thank you. Bye. Hinsdale should encourage bees, not outlaw them. Hinsdale ordinances should be based on facts and evidence, not fear and fiction. Save the bees.